Welcome back, everybody, to our sermon preview. This week we're going to be in 2 Kings, chapters 22 and 23. And we're going to look at the whole of chapter 22. There's a lot of really good stuff that happens in there, but then just the first three verses, I think, of chapter 23. But read both of those. I would even suggest going ahead and reading all of chapter 23 in 2 Kings just because it's good to read, right? There's always more to learn and to know. And so I think it'd be good for you to do anyway. But really focus on chapter 22. And you're going to be met with a king in Judah. His name is Josiah. Now, there's a lot to kind of dig into with this character. He is actually a good king, which is so very rare, right? It's like a diamond in the rough sort of thing. The kings of Israel have all been bad, and the kings of Judah have mostly all been bad. But then along comes this guy, Josiah, but not really a guy. I mean, he is a guy, but he's not a man. He's a boy who comes on the scene as a king, as a young boy, and tries to fill these shoes and actually does a good job of it. What? There's a lot to talk about with that, right? What's going on there? How is he able to do this? And what they end up finding in this whole kind of renovation that he wants done in the temple is they find the book of the law. Now, we'll talk about this more on Sunday. Nobody knows for sure what that is. Is that Genesis through Deuteronomy? Is it portions of Leviticus only, or portions of Leviticus and Deuteronomy? I mean, what does it mean that it's the book of the law? Nobody knows with 100% certainty. Every scholar agrees that it is at least a large portion of probably Leviticus and Deuteronomy, because that's where the law portion of Genesis through Deuteronomy kind of sits. Whatever it was, upon hearing it, Josiah enacts these amazing reforms for the Lord to change the people. Right? He's not a prophet; he's a king. But he can use his power to try to bring about the changes that finally need to happen. And so there's a lot to look at here. Josiah is a really good king, and I'm looking forward to kind of talking about what he does, his reforms, all these things that kind of go together in this story. It's a beautiful story. It's one of courage and decisiveness on the part of Josiah to, whenever he really hears about what the Lord wants them to do, he says, okay, this is what we have to do, right? We can't divert from this path any longer. Now, unfortunately, Josiah's reforms aren't long-lived, but he did the best he could. And so that's where we're going to go this week and talk about and hold up this guy, Josiah, that, mostly when we think about the good king of Israel, we think about David, right? He's the good king of Israel. But Josiah is no slouch. In fact, he's described as being the best king since David. So I'm looking forward to talking about him this week and kind of diving into a story that I think is probably not one that most people are very familiar with. So it'll be good territory to kind of explore together. And so I'm looking forward to it. All right. I'll be back, of course, next week to talk about what will be in the upcoming sermon for the following Sunday. So don't miss that. Come check back in on Facebook and check that out, or find it on our website, of course. So I'll talk to you next week. You can look for my sermon on in between. That usually gets published on Mondays. I try to get it done on Mondays or Tuesdays. So anyway, I hope everybody has a wonderful rest of the week, and we'll talk to you later.